Alright guys, we finally got the Omtech 100 watt CO2 laser into the basement, and let me tell you what a struggle. It was literally a 1/16 of an inch narrower than my door opening coming into the basement, which is down 8 steps through Bilco doors. I had to remove the doors, the handle on the front that opens the lid. It's actually a pretty good handle. It's stout, and the bolts on the back are 14 millimeter. You take those two nuts off. I don't know why I said bolt. You take those two nuts off and you can get the handle off, and that gave me the clearance to get it through. However, I did have a little bit of rash, but that's okay. It's only cosmetic. It's not going to hurt anything. So two things that I wanted to give you a heads up on. The first one is you may or may not get this resistor. I couldn't find anything anywhere in the manual, which I had to download. It did not come with a paper manual as to what this resistor is for. Turns out this basically is for testing your power supply in your tube. So if you have a problem with your laser not functioning correctly, you wire this in, and if it ever comes to that, I'll make another video. But you wire this in and you can determine whether or not it's the tube or the power supply that's at fault. So just pack this away, keep it for future use, God forbid. You're also going to get, again, I've read some people don't get it, this silicone elastomer sealant. Basically what this is for is when you put your power wire from the machine to the tube, you use this silicone to create a nice conductive connection. Everything that I've seen and read, they want you to cut this, twist the wires together, and tape it with electrical tape. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use butt connectors, heat shrink style, when I put the tube in, and I'll show you what I mean when we get to that point. You have this, let me see if you can see what I see. Okay. You have this opening here with 4 screws, which is going to house this piece. Don't put this piece on yet. You're going to want to put your tube in first and then screw this in place, being very careful not to allow this to contact the tube in any way, shape, or form. The last thing you want is broken glass on the floor and tears on top of the broken glass. So your mirror, one of them is here. I've yet to uncover it, but I'm going to show you how to install the tube, hook up the coolant hoses, and the wiring. And the way I'm going to do it is with, like I said, the wiring I'm going to do with butt connectors. I'm not going to twist them and tape them together. That's never been a good idea. I'm going to crimp these, heat shrink them, and the connection is going to be 100% positive. Now, I should have had this in my hand. You may have also received this stretch of wire, no connectors on either end. Yellow and green, that's kind of international for a ground. And if you're not in the United States, you would connect that here and to a good ground, like a copper pipe in your shop or your house, or if you have a grounding rod or something like that. But here in the US, we have grounds in our electrical system, so there really isn't a need for that. So let me get my ducks in a row and we'll be right back. One other thing that I wanted to mention, sorry for the disruption of the flow, but everything that I took apart, the screws that hold on this end box, the cover on the opposite side, and so on, they're actually all tapped. They're machine screws, which I thought was pretty impressive because some of the stuff that you see, they're self-tapping sheet metal screws which strip really easy and it's just junk. But so far with the assembly, with the fit and finish, other than what I screwed up, I'm very happy with what I've seen so far. How it functions, of course, will remain to be seen. And I'm also going to show you how to remove the laser from the base, which is what I had to do to get this through my door. So we'll be back. Alright, so we're going to get the tube installed. The tube is, of course, in this box, and it's taped in 2 locations, on mine anyway, very gingerly. Turn it on its side, cut the tape here and here, here and here, bring it back up top, and lift the lid off. Your tube is going to be extremely well protected inside of this box with countless pieces of foam. And I'm going to say this right now, when you do get your tube in place, you want it between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch away from this mirror. I'm about ready to take off this cover, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, but I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to set mine to 9/16 to start with, and we'll see how that works. The mounts for the tube are held in place by these Allen head screws, but you get the Allen head wrench kit with the machine. So we're going to take these off, get everything out of the way, and slide the tube in place. So we'll be right back. So this is the Allen wrench set that you get with the machine, and they're on a ring held in with these little springs, and you can pull the wrench right out and use whichever one you need. They tend to fall out, so I think it's a nice effort, but at least it gives you everything that you need to work on the machine with. And in case I forget to say it a little bit later in this video, when you tighten these clamps down, you definitely don't want to over tighten them. The last thing you want is... So on my machine, they had the power line and the cooler line running through the mount. So you're going to want to take those out of the mount. Otherwise, you're going to have an issue trying to get your tube in here. And again, you really want to handle this with care. It is glass. And I'm going to feed mine through this back end, like so. These big blue silicone mounts should rest in here and give you enough room to get your, in my case, 9/16 of an inch between this end and this frame. So we're going to measure that real quick. And that's actually 3/4 the way that they have these silicone mounts set up. But again, I'm going to set mine at 9/16, so I'm going to split the difference as per their recommendations. Alright, so that's 9/16. These silicone sleeves, wraps, insulators, whatever you'd like to call them, are pretty darn close to that. But I'm just going to gingerly slide them back until they're fairly well centered in the mounting brackets. I'm going to remeasure this again to make sure I didn't move anything. Now we're good. So then we'll bring the top piece back over. And just so you know, there is a label on this that says this side up. So I'm going to make sure I have this side up. Okay, so as I said, this laser is brand new, just got it the other day. And all the information that I've seen out there, there's a wire coming in that you need to connect this wire to. However, on this particular laser with this tube setup, that's not the way it is anymore. And I'm going to say that their information is just a bit lacking. So on this end of the tube, you're going to want to remove this cap. And of course, the reason you're going to want to remove that cap is because, again, let me see if you can see what I'm seeing. There's a screw right here. So you're going to take this screw out. So this is going to save me a little bit of time. I'm not going to have to put wires together. And you're going to run your red wire through here. And it's already got the connector on the end, which is like really convenient. And you're going to put that screw through it and tighten that down in the end of this tube. I'd really like to get that tight, but because it's into glass, I'm going to be a little cautious and not. And then I'm going to put this cover back on. I really don't think you need any of that silicone paste, if that's actually what it is, or a better known name here in the States is dielectric compound. So let's do the other side. Okay, so again, if you put it with the label that says this side up, your screws are going to be in the proper location. Take out this screw here and connect your black wire. Be careful, don't drop it. I'm sure it's a special thread, probably a metric machine screw, and you won't be happy if you lose it. Alright, so the first disappointment. The screw that came with the tube that connects a black wire to this ring was stripped. I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos, but I was an auto tech for a lot of years, my own business for 8 years, and so on. So I consider myself pretty handy with mechanical kind of stuff. Anyway, the screw was stripped and it would not tighten for this black wire. So I thought, okay, no problem. I have a hoard of screws. I went and I got, this is definitely a metric machine screw. So I went and I got a SAE and I threaded it in to tighten this connection down. And don't you know it, that the screw broke off inside of this ring right here. Okay, no biggie. Got out the drill, tried to drill this, and I'm guessing it's stainless steel because it just wouldn't drill. Last resort before I threw in the bag. I have a really, not really old, but fairly old Weller soldering gun. Right here actually. 140, 100 watt. So I wound up soldering this into the broken screw hole. Some flux, some thin solder. Got this hot enough to melt the solder. And if you do any soldering, you want to make sure that your solder melts on your material and not on the tip of your soldering iron. So hopefully I didn't damage anything here, but I was able to get this soldered down, so that's going to be a perfect connection, and we'll get this, we're going to continue to get this all hooked up, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll be right back. Alright guys, we're going to get this unboxed and set up the CW5200 industrial chiller. Yeah, we're getting real close to getting this ready to fire. However, and it probably won't be on a video because my wife hates herself on video, but my wife is the brains behind this operation, so to speak. So once I get this all set up and ready to rock, she's going to do the rest. Nice packaging. Yeah, nice packaging. She's going to do the rest, and after that we'll do a test burn and see how it works. I believe this was right around 60 pounds, free shipping from Omtech. Yeah, it's got a lot of nice foam. Corner pieces to keep it from crushing on the corners. Very well packaged. Very happy with that. The box was flawless. There was no damage on it. Comes with nothing apparently but the chiller. And the power cord. And a little manual. And this electrical connector, not really sure why. The in and out are capped, and they must test them because this is wet. So maybe they pressure test them to make sure there's no leaks, which would be really cool. Nothing worse than buying something new that has issues. So we've got two fans. We've got our water level gauge here. Again, let me see if you can see what I'm seeing. All right, pretty close. And our fill. So I'm going to be using distilled water. Apparently they make an antifreeze for this, and if this was outside where the temperatures got below freezing, it'd be a different story, but I'm going to use distilled water because it's in my little humble basement workshop number 2. And yeah, so I'm going to spin this around. I'm going to use the plumbing silicone tubes that came with the Omtech laser, and we're going to get these connected. So we'll be right back. Alright, so the tubing that comes with the laser itself, it's actually already cut pretty much in half. Just a bit off. So because I'm anal about pretty much everything, God help my wife, I'm going to cut these to the same length. And we're going to put one on the inlet and one on the outlet. And you definitely want to have some kind of security clamp on this. Again, it would suck to have these blow off when you're in the middle of a 2-hour cut. And by the way, these lasers say not to use them over 5.5 hours consistently at a time, I don't know, but that's what they say. Overheating, I'm sure. So much easier than clamps, so much faster. And if you have to take them off, a pair of side cutters, dikes, wire cutters, whatever. And it's done. You just grab it right here underneath the lock, cut it, and it's done. Alright, so let's move on to connecting this to the laser. And it's a kind of a weird thing, but the inlet goes to the outlet and the outlet goes to the inlet. Alright, so on the chiller, you want to connect your lines from the chiller to the laser, chiller inlet, laser outlet. Again, we're going to put some zip ties. I've already done them on the chiller. So we're going to put some zip ties on the laser. And these don't have to be ridiculously tight. Just tight enough so that they can't slip over the barb on the water inlet and outlets. Okay, so that should be good. So now to get everything in line, and I should also state that with all of these water connections, you want to make sure that there's no kinks in your hoses, your tubing. Obviously that'll cause back pressure, which is going to be an issue. So I'm going to be real careful when I place this, and I'm going to look on the other side where I can see better, just to make sure there's no kinks and everything actually looks pretty good. So we're going to plug the chiller into the water strip, the power strip that I mentioned before. And then we're going to plug the power strip into my 30 amp extension. And trust me, I will tie all these wires up so that they're not just dangling around and being a nightmare. So I have a funnel to fill the chiller with distilled water. I guess the first thing we should do is just turn it on and make sure it actually works. Okay, it's telling me that it's low on water because I haven't put any in yet. So let's do that real quick. Yeah, that's pretty annoying, right? Of course, my funnel doesn't fit into it. So we're going to have to bareback this. Not my first rodeo. We'll spill a little, but not a ton. Alright, so about a half a gallon of water and the alarm shut off. Our normal light is lit. Can you see that? No, you can't see anything. Man, I'm really sorry. So yeah, we did spill a bit. The fill, our normal light is lit. We're down to 14.9 Celsius. Because everything's made in China, it's not set up for Fahrenheit. We'll take one of my old hunting socks and we'll clean this up. You know, you'd think for cotton it would absorb this a lot better. I should have had a roll of paper towel down here, but unfortunately I didn't give it a second thought. And this protective plastic on here, I'm going to leave it on there because it's protective. I don't know. God knows why they put the water level gauge on the back, but 1 gallon of distilled water and it's just about full. I bought 2 just in case, but I think with 1 we're going to be okay. So we're going to wrap it up for this video, and like I said, I'm going to let the brains of the operation get this squared away and get it set up and do a first burn, which is the wife. So as far as today goes, I know that I mentioned it already, but it is December 10th, 2023, and we'll be back with some test burns and show how this thing actually works, as well as, yeah, we probably won't videotape that, taking the plastic protective layer off of the glass. But yeah, we'll be back soon. That'll be video 3. So guys, enjoy your day. It's Sunday. Hope you had a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. Take care now.